Welcome back. Earlier this month, the Senate voted to introduce a bill that would prohibit internet service providers from collecting and selling an internet user's personal information without explicit consent. Jim, in this day and age, you see internet privacy as a right of we the people, and do you think the state needs to defend it?
Yeah, I do. I do think the state needs to defend it. I think that privacy is what it's going to be about over the next 10 years, in my opinion. We've got these little devices in our house that listen for commands, but they're also listening to what we're saying. We have cameras and microphones built into our devices, whether they be cell phones or tablets or laptops or PCs. We have search engines that are tracking us. If you look up something on a site, all of a sudden you go to 10 other sites and you see an advertisement for that product that you had looked up. Privacy is going to be a huge issue, and people understand that the people that are using this information understand that information is power. They can predict what we're going to do and when we're going to do it. Yeah, I'm not sure that at some level isn't a reason why I'm not getting a TV with a microphone and a camera in it, and not getting, why I sometimes cover up the little camera thing on my laptop. I don't want it. A lot of the privacy is problems are self-inflicted, because we go on Facebook and say from minute to minute what we're doing, going to the bathroom now, making lunch now, whatever the case may be. I just don't think we need to be all that public.
Ron, what do you have for us?
Didn't the president just sign a bill or an order that stopped this process, where he doesn't agree with the way it was moving forward, and this was an attempt by Maryland to do something that the president had already stopped in case it went through? And doesn't it get back to your search engines like Google and some of those taking over where Walmart, where Amazon and some of them collect that information and send it out?
I think we have a lot of moving pieces. President Trump actually overturned what President Obama put in place, which allowed for which blocked what we're discussing.
Yes.
Okay, the Maryland Senate went through and they tried to protect the Maryland consumer, and saying you can't do this, even though the president has overturned and returned the internet back to where it was before President Obama did this.
Yes.
But now we have the Maryland Senate saying, no, we don't want you to do it. What I've noticed, personally in my web browsing is, because I use an ad blocker in my browser, all of a sudden I have a whole bunch of sites that I have traditionally gone to as, well, you have an ad blocker on this on this page. Please disable it so you can view the page the way
and
it's
you can't get your page, right?
If I have a website that denies me the ability to see what I desire on it, I close off that tab, I go to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's technology that really can assist in the privacy piece, from the standpoint of like a VPN, where your IP address is.
Tell me what a VPN is.
Virtual private network.
Okay.
There's subscription-based services that you can buy, these virtual private networks, and it essentially makes you more anonymous on the internet. So again, it goes back to, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. People will find a way. I don't like potentially what the GOP overturned. I think I don't think ISP should be allowed to collect that information. But again, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. You can use one of these VPNs. You can choose to do less things online. I mean, there's all kinds of ways you can get around
that.
But
you were mentioning earlier, we have TVs, we have willingly put listening devices in our house in order that we can easily select a song or order an item. We have our cell phones, which essentially track just about every moment of our life and coordinate, and it has a microphone and a camera that could be remotely accessed.
Some of the apps for you get from the stores actually track you through the store and find out how much time you spend in each of the sections of their store. It's pretty amazing the level of detail they can get. So, privacy is a big issue. And we've not even talked about the fact that these drones, we see drones that are this big, but what about the drones that are this big? What happens if or when people start using those to invade privacy?
If you're living a straight life and you're not doing anything crooked, what is the issue with privacy?
The issue with privacy is, while it is not specifically enumerated in the Constitution, the basis, in my opinion, of our existence as a country was partially about privacy.
Ron, you're sitting at the dinner table with your wife, and you're having a discussion about what's going on in the world, and you take possibly a hard tack
On an issue.
on an issue,
You
okay?
should.
And that's just in the confidence. Your wife fully knows that you would never take that in the public arena. Well, all of a sudden we have one of these listening devices or that little drone that Jim's talking about overhears that. And that all of a sudden sets off a couple little whistles saying, well, we got to keep an eye on this Ron Bowers guy.
They might unmask me, right?
They could.
Think of all of the, in the last several political campaigns, think of all of the live mic bloopers that have come about, some of which were taken completely out of context, some of which were absolutely innocuous, but people were spinning them to suggest that they weren't. I don't want to be at the other end of that. That's why I want privacy. And you know what? And I don't do everything right, but I don't think I have anything.
How do we catch a bad guy, Jim?
Well, you catch the bad guy, but you know what? You don't punish the 90% of good guys to catch the 10%
You still
of
take
bad
your
guys.
shoes off because when you go in an airplane because one guy had to put a bomb in his shoe. So you still take your shoes off.
But if I'm having a conversation with my wife at my dinner table, or I'm having a conversation with my wife in another room in our house, should that information really have the opportunity to be invested in?
Do you think that drone's going to be at your house if there wasn't a reason to be there?
Who knows?
We don't know. But
knows?
right now, everything that you are saying on your cell phone is being recorded in some source somewhere. Okay, probably about 70 miles down the road from us. You have to have some concern. We sacrificially we allow that because we have cell phones and But do we want to take it to the next level and have it come into the four walls that surround our house that has a roof on it? Do we really want to get into that vein?
My number one goal in retirement is to go off the grid.
Man after my own heart.
Seriously.
Well, I'm in retirement.
Right.
And I pretty much
And
went
you're on the
the
grid.
grid.
There you go. Well, that's a difference between you and I, Ron. One of many.
Ron, you probably remember when we didn't have cell phones, caller IDs, and all that. I know Jim does.
Yeah.
Okay. Life was pretty good back then. When you
And
called a
life is-
house, someone picked up and answered the phone.
And life
Do
is
you
pretty
remember
good right
Odds
now.
Cats that owned the white coffee pot?
I
Yep.
don't.
You? Mm-hmm. The first phone I ever saw in a car was riding up Interstate 81 looking for a coffee truck to start the coffee wagon. He had the first phone. It was a great big phone in his car. And that's how far we've come since back in the 70s.
I understand.
It's unbelievable.
But you're saying
and
about
it's just it's just continuing to expand.
you were talking about we need to have the surveillance because of the 1% that violate the law, break the law. We have a lot of things that are already going on in this world. We can't penalize 99% to capture the 1%. We have to be vigilant. That's where you need people to turn in and facilitate solving these issues.
And by the way, in the public space, where do you go anymore that you're not caught by a camera somewhere?
There's very few places.
certainly
Well,
not in
don't
the city
forget
of
that
Hagerstown.
1% now's got all the money.
We're not I don't think it's
that
the same
1% can go off the
1%.
grid and they get by with it.
They'll get by with it if they get caught because they can
Yeah.
get the proper
Well, I mean,
legal counsel to get out of it.
Susan Rice is getting some legal counsel too right now.
There's
so
a
that's-
couple other ones looking for legal counsel
Could
too.
be.
I'll name some names too.
We're just joking about that.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, any other thoughts on it?
Wrap it up.
Okay, very good. All right, next up on the flip side, our panel takes a closer look at the opioid crisis in Washington County. Stay tuned.